بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of the last part of the first volume of History of Shia Islam, which is our second lecture on Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So we already had a discussion about 4 deputies of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif during minor occultation from 260 to 329 after Hijrah. For 69 years this continued. Now for further study there is a box, not a box, actually a page about some of the tasks of these 4 deputies. So it's a review of some of their major tasks. One of the major tasks was to prevent, and if it has already happened, to face and combat separation and divisions inside the Shia community, and in particular to face ghulat, those who were zealots, those who were exaggerating about certain aspects of imamah, but unfortunately, as it is expected, this is not something that would lead to becoming more careful or more pious, etc. On the one hand, they were, trying to elevate the positions of imams above human level, but on the other hand, they were very careless about requirements of obedience to imams alayhimus salam and taqwa. They were also, especially the first 2 naibs, the first 2 deputies, they were very much also trying to clarify for the Shia community the person of Imam Mahdi, the birth of him, and if there is anyone in any part of the Shia world not yet sure, not yet informed, they try to clarify. This is mainly for the first 2 deputies, because by the time of the 3rd this was already established. Also, they were trying to control the interest of the Shia community and channel it to the right, direction. For example, if some Shia wanted to know very much about Imam's, personal life and knowing, where he is, etc., they were trying to tell them this is not the right approach and it can endanger the security of Imam alayhi salam. They also try to maintain and keep organizing further the network of wukala. In this period of minor occultation, the regional agents of imams no longer had access to Imam himself. In the past they had access to the Imam. Now the regional agents had access to the deputy of Imam. They had to send wujuhat, money, etc. to them, and then they were communicating to Imam and according to the will of Imam spending money. They were very also careful about hiding the place of stay of Imam alayhi salam. And something interesting that I have mentioned in some other lectures is that how careful they were about not leaking out anything that could endanger life of Imam alayhi salam. Abu Sahl, one of the important Shia figures, about the reason for selection, of certain, Nawab. He says, in particular, about Hussein ibn Ruh al-Nawbakhti, but it was not only about him, but he talked about him. He said that he is such a person that if he has Imam alayhi salam, for example, under his cloak or on his lap, and they cut his body into pieces by scissor, he would not say Imam is with me. So Imam, as at the beginning, was a child. The Ghaiba started at the age of 5. So it is possible to think that you could have Imam under your cloak, but if this happened, still he would not talk about it. Sometimes a person has a dream of Imam Mahdi, cannot keep it to himself. Not with bad reasons necessarily, but sometimes out of excitement, out of, love for Imam. But we need to be careful. We need to make sure that whatever we say is pleasing to Allah, pleasing to Imam. It's not something that would be harmful to the cause. The only, perhaps, maybe the only time that Imam appeared in public in the time of Ghaiba, or marking the beginning of Ghaiba, was funeral and actually conducting a prayer on the body of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam. Maybe that was the only time that everyone present could see Imam alayhi salam. In the past, in the time of Imam Askari alayhi salam, some Shia were fortunate to see Imam, as we mentioned before, but this was kind of public. Abu al-Adyan, who was preparing and helping for the funeral of Imam alayhi salam, he says, sorry, he was not preparing, he was a kind of messenger of Imam Askari alayhi salam, but he was there. He says, exactly the text is this, he says that when I took the letters of Mada'in, the reply to the letters from Mada'in, I went towards Samirra, and as Imam Askari had informed me, Imam had passed away. Imam had told him that when he goes back, he would not be living. He says that I saw the Shia, some Shia, with Ali ibn Ja'far, Ja'far ibn Ali, what we call Ja'far al-Kadhab, uncle of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, and some Shia were congratulating him. And he says, I told myself that if this person is going to be the next leader, then Imama is, finished, is destroyed. He said, because he was a person who was known for sinful practices like gambling and drinking, etc. Anyway, when the body was prepared, some people called Ja'far, the son of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. You can be son of Nuh, you can be son of Imam, but you need to be careful yourself. It doesn't guarantee So they called Ja'far to lead the prayer. Maybe Khulafa's, agents also had some role because he was close to the Khalifa, as you will see later. So Ja'far went forward to lead the prayer on the body of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam. But before he says takbir, a child came and took his cloak and said, "Oh uncle, turn back, and I am more, entitled to say prayer on the body of my father." Ja'far was very, much frightened, was, panicking. His face became pale, and Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif said the prayer. Abul Adyan says, I found the characteristics that I had heard about the success of Imam Askari in this person. And then after this, Ja'far went to the Caliph, Al-Mu'tamid Al-Abbasi, and told him this story. So Mu'tamid sent his agents to that place, and they took a lady from the house of Imam Askari alayhi salam and asked about this lady. She denied, and they had control and watching her. And then finally there were some problems in the city. They were themselves under attack, so they didn't manage to control longer, and she managed to run away. So this is for further study about some of the tasks of the deputies, and something also about the public appearance of Imam Mahdi and the role of Ja'far. After this, the discussion is about beginning of major occultation. So this is very last part of the book, as you know, this last lesson, and now we've talked about birth of Imam al-Islam, Ghaybat al-Sughra. So we will talk about Ghaybat al-Kubra, but the second volume is all about the situation of the Shia in the time of major occultation. In the time of the fourth deputy, Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri, we have a new thing, that is the beginning of Ghaybat al-Kubra by his demise. So previous deputies, they are all in Ghaybat al-Sughra. They function in Ghaybat al-Sughra. So 6 days before his demise, Imam alayhi salam informed him that he's going to depart from this world, and Imam said, organize your affairs, don't introduce anyone as deputy or successor. Now it's the beginning of a new era. My reappearance would be only with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there would be a long period of ghayba, occultation, till many people's hearts become hard, earth will be filled with injustice. And also Imam, in that message to Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri, also warned about people who may say that they have seen him. So he said, whoever claims that he has met us and seen us before coming of Sufyani and before that call from sky, would be a liar. We have had discussion about this issue of seeing Imam Mahdi in the time of Ghaiba in the series on Imam Mahdi. What does it mean? Does it mean that no one can see Imam alayhi salam? Certainly no. There are people that we are sure that they have seen Imam alayhi salam. Does it mean that they see but they don't claim? This is more likely, but even there are people that we know they have met Imam and we are sure about their honesty, and somehow they have talked about it or it has leaked out. So it may be two things. One is if they claim that they have a special access to Imam, idda al-mushahada, in the sense that they say, I can regularly meet Imam, I am his bab, I am his, gate, I am his agent, I am, his, I don't know, deputy or something like this in time of Ghaybat al-Kubra. We should not accept. No one, even the most pious scholars, would have such a role that they say, I am like, those four deputies in time of Ghaybat al-Sughra, I am in touch with Imam continuously, and you can ask me, I will pass on to Imam. No. Plus, it can also mean informing about the coming of Imam, public mushahada of Imam, not just for themselves. So if someone says, I am the gate, we should not accept. If someone says reappearance has happened before those two signs, we should not accept. What if someone says, I have seen Imam alayhi salam, I am not his gate, reappearance has not started, but I have seen Imam, what about this? So we cannot say definitely 100% this person is liar, unless there are some signs, some evidence, because it's possible to see Imam. Maybe this person has made mistake, or maybe he has seen. But here some people say that in order to prevent a spread of such claims, we need to assume that such people are liars unless proved otherwise, just to stop everyone saying, maybe by mistake, I saw Imam gave this message, I saw Imam in this place, he gave this message, he told me this, I told this. Because sometimes there is a reality, but unfortunately there are lots of claims. For example, sihr is a reality, but many people claim things that are not real. It's possible to be in touch with jinns, but many people claim things which are not realities. So it's possible to see Imam, but many people by mistake or by lack of sincerity, they may say things. In order to stop such claims, we should have this policy of, first, not encouraging people, secondly, by discouraging them, and even maybe up to the state that we say, no, we don't accept from you, so that no one dares saying this. Anyway, this was a little brief conclusion of that discussion. The next topic is situation of the Shia in the time of minor occultation and major occultation. In the time of minor occultation, again we have this policy that we had even before in the time of Imam Kazim alayhi salam, in the time of Imam Raza alayhi salam, that some Shia had some positions in the system, in the government of the Abbasids, in order to help establishment of justice, even if it is a small scale, in order to prevent pressure and oppression on innocent people, especially some followers of Ahlul Bayt who were very much under pressure during Umayyads and Abbasids, as kind of general situation. So in the book there is a reference to the time of Imam al-Kadhim, Ali ibn Yaqtin. As you know, he had some high position. During the time of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, Ma'mun had made Shia responsible for Haramain al-Sharifain, for Mecca and Medina. And these Shurafa were in charge, and this continued up to the time of Mutawakkil. Mutawakkil was very much against the Shia. He was against the shrines. He, destroyed the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, as you remember. And then in the time of Muqtadir Abbasi in the year 295, again the situation was good for Shia emerging in Baghdad and some other places, and rising, I mean. So Shia had some position in the time of Ghaybat Sughra as well, but sometimes because of the hatred of Abbasids in general, the powerful people against the Ahlul Bayt and the Shia, so there were difficulties. And sometimes also there were some groups of the Shia, not necessarily 12ers, but in general, camp of the people who are Shia, who believed in Imam Ali alayhi salam. Sometimes there were also internal issues, or they had issues with the system that was causing problem for the followers of Imams alayhi salam. For example, some people locally had issues with non-Shia. This could cause problem for others. Local conflict between some Sunni, some Shia could create problem. Or uprisings and movements of Zaydis could also create problem for the whole Shia community, because they were somehow also part of the camp, although they didn't follow our Imams, after Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. But in general, the Shia, under the instructions of Imams alayhi salam, try to keep themselves away from such sectarian wars, or such political movements which were not well planned and well led, and they could just create no profit, no benefits. We talk a little bit about also the concept of intizar, awaiting Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. We know that the whole history of mankind is the history of the battle between light and darkness, between truth and falsehood. And the world would not end unless the righteous people would take over. Quran says, أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ يَرِثُهَا عِبَادِيَ الصَّالِحُونَ. The righteous people are going to inherit the earth. Therefore, we have very strong hope for this world. We have hope in humanity. We have hope in history, which is not just one individual or a few individuals. Humanity, as individuals, we have hope. Every human being can change, can become a good person if they decide. As I said in some lectures, even Imam Hussein alayhi salam still had some hope that some of the people in the opposite army may change. Otherwise, he would not have talked to them. But even on the day of Ashura, he was warning them. He was trying to give them a chance to repent or change on the day of Ashura. So we should not lose our hope easily. Even Allah about Fir'aun says, لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Maybe Fir'aun changes. Therefore Musa had to go and speak to him. So we have hope in humanity as individuals and as large. And we have great hope in the history of humanity, not in a society which is at a certain time, in the history of humanity. And therefore we should never be despaired. No matter how difficult is situation, we should never be despaired. And as you know, we had this hadith in some discussions that kun fima la tarju arja minka fima tarju. With respect to those things that you have no hope, you should be more hopeful. Like the story of Prophet Musa, when he had no hope for something great. He was just struggling to take his family in the night safely, but then he received divine call. Or the Queen of Saba, she had no hope, but then she was guided when she went to see Prophet Sulaiman ala nabiyina wa alihi wa sallam. So we should have always hope. And even if a day is remaining, just for the sake of emphasis, of course it will not be a day, but just for the sake of emphasis, that even if one day, lam yabqa illa yawm wahid, Allah is going to extend that day so that this establishment of truth and justice would happen. But as you can see, this is a positive approach, it's a constructive approach. This is to hope that something great happens and you try to become part and parcel of this, not just watching and being indifferent. Intizar is not something passive, is actively waiting for Imam Mahdi ajalallah ta'ala farajah. If you are waiting for something, means you are preparing for it. That's your ideal and you move towards it. If you are waiting for a great, for example, physician to come and help people with a kind of epidemic disease, you should not just wait, you should prepare. Okay, so if he comes, what does he need? He needs some equipment, he needs a clean place, he needs some people to help him, he needs some medicine, equipment. We should prepare all that, not just wait for him and then after he comes we start the process, and it may take long. That by that time people would have died. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Afdalu a'mal ummati intizarul faraj." The best of the actions of my ummah is waiting for the relief, or faraj, or delivery. As you see, intizar is considered as amal. Afdalu a'mal is an action. Intizar is an action, not just an idea or a belief. It's an action, and it's the best of the actions, because this is helping you and helping whole humanity to move forward. So if we are waiting for Imam to bring positive changes, we need to be suitable for that. If you are waiting for a muslih is reformer, but here is very comprehensive and fundamental reform. If you are waiting for muslih, you have to be salih, you have to be yourself righteous so that you can help him. Some of our duties in the time of ghaibah is as follows. One is to know our Imam, ma'rifatu Imam zamanihi. We need to know Imam, we need to know about his characteristics, his ideals, his aims, his people, his enemies, his challenges, opportunities, all these things. Also, we need to pray for him, because prayer is one of the best things we can do for ourselves and for others. And our prayer for Imam is very good for us, but also good for him and the cause. We should, give sadaqah for him. We should be sad, and we should be really, lamenting for the ghaibah of Imam alayhi salam. We should do tawassul to Imam and other also ma'sumin for the faraj of Imam alayhi salam. We should do istighatha in addition to all the good work that we need to do to educate and organize and unite ourselves. And there's a beautiful point here at the end of this part before we go to the spiritual life of Imam alayhi salam, that there are two important things. One is understanding, another is love. So in the time of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, based on people's understanding and love, they will occupy different positions. Those who hope to help Imam, they should rise in understanding, including knowledge, wisdom, etc., and in their love for Allah and for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, obedience comes out of love and understanding, as well as we said in the discussion about three elements of wilayah. Obedience is guaranteed. No one without obedience would reach anywhere. But obedience with understanding and love. So Imam Mahdi needs people who are at peak of understanding and peak of love and mercy. Okay, something about Imam's spiritual life. This is the last part. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, Imam Mahdi is the most knowledgeable, the most patient, the most God-fearing of people. He is very generous, very brave, and he worships the most. So no one would be like him in this time from 260 up to the end of the world. Even compared to many prophets and maybe even some members of Ahlul Bayt, he is at a very high level. Not, for example, more than Rasulullah, of course, not more than Amirul Mu'minin, but compared to many, or almost all prophets except few, and Imams except few, you can say he's at the very top level of ibadah and nearness to Allah. Because you can imagine, it's not easy also to deal with so much of tragedies for centuries. It needs a very deep relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he has been worshipping Allah for centuries. So he's very unique in a sense. Muhammad ibn Uthman al-Amri, the deputy of Imam alayhi salam, one of the deputies, he says that Imam every season of Hajj attends Hajj. He would see people and recognize them. People may see him, but they don't recognize him. Ishaq ibn, some words of Imam alayhi salam. Ishaq ibn Yaqub says that I requested Muhammad ibn Uthman al-Amri to convey my letter, to pass my letter to Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj Sharif. It had some questions which were, bothering me, I needed to understand. And then in the reply that he received was this saying, famous saying of Imam, أما الحوادث الواقعة فارجعوا فيها إلى رواة أحاديثنا. when something new happens, you want to know what you should do, refer to the people who are familiar and experts in understanding our hadith. They are my hujjah over you, and I am the hujjah of Allah. So Allah has delegated authority to hujjah, and the hujjah has delegated part of authority to these people. Also in the book there's a reference to the famous sentence that we quote in social wilaya also, which starts لو أن أشياءنا وفقهم الله لطاعته. If our Shia were united and were loyal, may Allah give them tawfiq to obey him, لما تأخر عنهم اليمن بلقائنا ولا تعجلت لهم السعادة بمشاهدتنا. If the Shia were united and loyal, the blessing of meeting us would not be delayed. Then also there is a hadith about emphasis on salat. It is attributed to Imam Mahdi Ajalallah that he said, nothing like salat would annoy and defeat shaitan. So we should be very much careful about our salat. And then there are some hadith about justice after coming of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. For example, Asbagh ibn Nubata quotes from Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. Part of the quotation is هو المهدي يملأها عدلا كما ملأت ظلما وجورا. Imam Mahdi will fill the earth with justice and equity, social justice and equity. Or Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, لو لم يبق من الدنيا إلا يوم واحد لطول الله عز وجل ذلك اليوم حتى يخرج رجل من ولدي يملأها عدلا وقسطا كما ملأت جورا وظلما كذلك سمعت رسول الله يقول. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, even if only one day is remaining, Allah would extend that day till a person from my progeny will come, and he would fill the earth with justice and equity, social justice and equity, as it is filled with injustice. And he says, I heard Rasulullah saying this. So Imam Hussein says, this is from Rasulullah. Muhammad ibn Muslim says, I asked Imam Baqir alayhi salam about the 12th Imam, and Imam Baqir alayhi salam said his conduct would be like Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he says his masira, his conduct would ما صار به رسول الله. And there is a discussion about what did Rasulullah do that would resemble what is going to happen in that time. Also, Imam Raza alayhi salam said that يطهر الله به الأرض من كل جور. Allah will purify, will clean the earth with him from any injustice. وَيُقَدِّسُهَا مِنْ كُلِّ ظُلْمٍ. From any oppression, Allah will clear the earth from any oppression with Imam Mahdi. And he would set up the scale of justice. وَضَعَ مِيزَانَ الْعَدْلِ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ فَلَا يَظْلِمُ أَحَدٌ أَحَدًا. And no one would treat the other person with injustice. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also is quoted as saying, this is the final hadith, أَمَا وَاللَّهِ لَيَدْخُلَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ عَدْلُهُ جَوْفَ بُيُوتِهِمْ. His justice would go into their houses. كَمَا يَدْخُلُ الْحَرُّ in the same way that, you know, heat or cold weather, al-harr wal-qarr, hot or cold weather, go inside the houses. His justice also will go inside the houses, which is very understandable. You know, today we see that if there is injustice, even if you are at home, it would affect you through many ways. It would affect you through media, through TV, through radio, I don't know, through materials that they send to your home. Imam Mahdi's justice is so effective that would reach even inside the houses. Not that, you know, they force into the houses. No, means it would help people to have justice even inside their household. Okay, Alhamdulillah, with Allah's blessings, we managed to complete the first volume of the book History of Shia Islam. Inshallah, I hope we can study the second volume, Bismillah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.